During my last collaboration with Complicated Knots, Kylie said this.
Like 100-piece challenge. Should we? No. No. But maybe?
Which is a ridiculous idea. Terrible. Awful. Completely masochistic. So obviously we're going to do it. So here we are, 100 days, give or take, 100 pieces, roughly, and one massive crochet project. Seriously, it's huge. If you've seen either of our last two collaborations, you might have a general idea of where this is heading. If you haven't, links will be down in the description. But this time, instead of crocheting a small creature out of half a dozen or so pieces, we're going to attempt to crochet an entire landscape out of over 100. This challenge is such a large undertaking that Kylie and I, in an effort to prevent ourselves from becoming overwhelmed, have broken down the pieces that we'll need to design into 5 separate groups. First is Group A, which consists of the larger detail pieces. Group B are pieces that we must make more than one of. Group C patterns need to include an unusual stitch or be crocheted with novelty yarn. Group D is where the non-crochet pieces are at. Lastly, we have Group E, and Group E is personal choice pieces. Once we've crocheted the bulk of this project, we may find ourselves in a position where we need a unique crochet piece, something of a specific size or shape to go in a really particular spot. And this is what Group E is all about. To ensure this video remains a reasonable length, I went ahead and crocheted the prototypes of all my pieces in advance. We've got Group A on the left, the creamy yellowy colored ones, then Group B in the center here, the blue ones, and then Group C are the purple. Next up we have Group D, and because Group D is supplies materials, I have grabbed out my junk boxes. So I've got one there, just knocked everything off the table on my way down. I have another one. So I think I've got everything I need to get started, but honestly, this is kind of overwhelming. And I think the best thing to do is going to be to take this one step at a time. The first step should be to decide on a theme, what I want to crochet. My first thought was an aquascape. I've been a freshwater aquarium hobbyist for almost 2 decades now. Wow, shit, it has been that long. Almost 2 decades. And I've always loved aquascaping. I could sit there and play with river rocks and driftwood and live plants for hours. But I kind of want to do something fantasy-esque, maybe like a crystal cave or a mushroom forest. I really just want to incorporate some fantasy elements into this. Step 1 complete, check that off. As for step 2, I reckon I should gather at least a few pieces from Group D, because I have this picture of my head of building a crochet landscape off of something, and I'll show you what I mean. The other day, one of my sisters gave me these. My sisters just give me all their junk because they know I like to keep things for crafting purposes, but I have these. So what I'm thinking of is actually building my landscape on top of this. The question is, what size do I use? And because I don't know how these pieces are going to fit together yet, I don't know if the small one is going to be too small, and I don't know if the large one is going to be too large. Aside from the base, which I know I'll be using, I will also set aside some wire and some cardboard, because those two things are really good for shaping and support. That is step number 2, checked off, excellent. And that brings us to step number 3. My original intent for step number 3 was basically to combine all these pieces together as if I was doing a puzzle, but I don't think that is going to be the best approach. Instead, I'm going to take between 2 and 4 or 5, possibly even 6 pieces and combine those. For example, I might take this piece and this piece and just make multiple variations of all sorts of weird and wonderful shapes and write down, or even I might take pictures of, each of the individual things that I construct. And then after I have a whole bunch of those, I can go back through those photos, look at the shape and decide which pieces I want to use in my final project. Step 3 will take quite a bit longer than steps 1 and 2, and it's probably going to be pretty boring, so I'm not going to make you guys sit through the entirety of that. Instead, I think we'll have ourselves a good old-fashioned training montage. Play the music.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I don't really have enough space up there. I might have to relocate some of my amigurumi so I've got room to work. I have lost count of how many combinations of shapes that I've put together, but at least I have a good, backlog of shapes that I can potentially use in my project. I still don't know, however, exactly what I'm going for, but I have settled on a couple of solid ideas. The first is that I've chosen to use the larger cake stand. The second thing I've decided is on my first group E piece, which is our personal choice pieces. I've got some grey yarn, and all I want to do with this is crochet a large circle that will cover up this. The next thing I've locked in is my colour scheme. I'm thinking outside of the box here, and I'm going to go with blue and purple. Something that I'm sure you guys have never seen from me before. And the fourth, am I up to 4? My brain is fried at this point. The fourth thing I've decided is to start with this piece. That's probably going to take a while, and I'm not sure at this point where we will go from there. But that's a future problem, isn't it? Let's get these out of the way first. And it's done. I am very glad at the moment that I chose the large cake holder, because I did expect this thing to turn out pretty big because I use a 6mm hook. I just wasn't expecting it to be quite that big. And I think I owe Kylie an apology too, because that pattern was a slog to get through. So apologies, Kylie, for making you crochet that. With that all done, the next piece I'm going to tackle is the covering for my plate, which again is going to count as one of my personal choice pieces. Because it's getting so late, I'm probably going to stop recording for today, but I'm going to give myself a bit of homework, and that will be to go through the footage of all the various pieces I combine, and I'm going to pick out my favorites or things that I think will look good on my cake thing. I'm not quite sure yet what I want to go with, but hopefully as I go through the footage, it'll give me some ideas. And when I come back to film more tomorrow, I may have settled on something. Please let me settle on something. Morning, everyone. It is like the arse crack of dawn on a Saturday morning. I've got my cuppa, I'm rocking my dino PJs because I'm an adult. Still waiting for my brain. I'll try that again. Still waiting for my brain to boot up, which that should have made it patently obvious. But I thought we would just talk about what the plans are for today. God, I forgot how big that bloody thing was. I didn't mean to make it that huge. I'm thinking I might make it sort of the centerpiece of what I plan to make. What that is exactly is still up in the air, but I'm thinking if I have this as the log in the center, like that, I can create a little section of undergrowth. Before I begin any of that though, I want to finish my piece from yesterday that was going to cover the cake stand. That's looking pretty good. I might need to add an additional round or two, but I'll figure out the exact round count when it comes time to put this thing together. For this next part, I will be grabbing my cardboard cutout. The next thing that I want to attempt is the rock formation, but I want to start with the styrofoam as a foundation, and then I will layer on some pool noodle, and then on top of that, or even in between that, like in the crevices, I will add some of the foam tube. That's done for now. I've glued it and pinned it, and I'm going to let it dry. I ended up vetoing both the pool noodle and the tube because when I tried carving them with my knife, that didn't go very well. So I've elected not to use those. I'm going to let this dry. I think I'm going to have a lunch break now. And after the lunch break, we may just tackle a little bit of crochet. To be totally honest, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed at this point. Continuing with the trend of honesty, I don't really want to do an undergrowth theme. I would really like to do something fantasy inspired. Now I could do fantasy undergrowth theme, but I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to do that. So what I think I'll do at this point, because there is one piece I know I want to attach to my log. There is another piece from part A that I want to have coming off this like a branch. I will crochet that because I'll just be using the same yarn and hook size that I did yesterday. And hopefully as I'm crocheting, the creative juices will start flowing and I can think of somewhere to go from here. Whew. All right, let's just get this done. So it's late on Sunday night and here I've got all my painted things just set aside to dry. I made two different rock formations. I got styrofoam and cardboard because I'm not quite sure which one I want to go with. So now I've got some options at least. And I've painted this. I'm not going to tell you what that's for just yet. And then I've also painted the bottom of the cake stand for reasons that I'm also not going to tell you just yet. So that's all my non-crochet stuff at the moment. I'll show you the crochet stuff. After making this thing way too big, I decided apparently that I was just going to lean into that, and I made this second piece huge as well. I've got to tell you, I simultaneously feel like I've been working non-stop all weekend, but yet also somehow I haven't got very much done. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to work on this throughout the week. So I'll probably do a little bit more of crocheting the smaller parts, and then next weekend is when this whole thing is going to come together. Hopefully. I'm using a 1mm hook and some embroidery thread. 3 strands of embroidery thread. Why am I doing this to myself? Well, this project's taken over my entire life. When I'm not actively crocheting, I'm thinking about what I need to crochet next. When I'm not thinking about what I need to crochet next, I'm working on my non-crochet pieces. When I'm not working on my non-crochet pieces, I'm wondering how the hell I'm going to construct this bloody thing. It has consumed me. But it's fine. I'm fine. This is fun. We're having fun. So it's a Saturday again, and I am absolutely drowning in crochet pieces. There's all these ones behind me. Yeah. All of those. I have crochet pieces in front of me. Here's a sample. There are some more on the bench over there across the room, and there's even some that I have yet to crochet. I think it might be time to start putting this thing together. As I chipped away at all of this over the last 2 weeks, my thoughts have kind of coalesced into a really solid idea for what this could be. However, before I can bring my idea to life, I really need to do 2 things. Number one, I need to decide which rock formation I want to use. So I've got my styrofoam one. I've got my cardboard one, and I really like them both for different reasons. So I'm sort of stuck on which one I'd like to use in the final product. So that's the first thing I need to decide. The second thing I'll have to do is, unfortunately, recrochet this thing. It's just too big. I think in my eagerness to use up this brown grey yarn, I just overshot a bit. And for what I'm planning to use this for in the project, it's not going to work at this size. So I need to crochet not only that, but any of the pieces that I planned to branch off of this using the same yarn. And because that's going to take a little while, I want to get this done out of the way. But first I'm going to have a muffin break. That's done. They have joined, no, wrong way. They have, no, it was right the first time. They have joined the pieces behind me. While I was crocheting those, re-crocheting those, I have decided to go with the styrofoam rock formation rather than the cardboard. I just think I like the cardboard one, but it's a little bit flat. I think if I use the styrofoam one, it will add a little bit more dimension to my piece. So I will go with this. If I can, I'll try and incorporate the cardboard one as well, because what the hell else am I going to do with it? But yes, for the main part of my project, styrofoam it is. So that's good. The 2 most important things that I wanted to get done this morning are complete. Mission accomplished. Now comes the hardest part of the entire project, I think, putting it together. While I have a general idea of what I'm going for, there's still a good chance that it's not going to work out how I'm picturing. So I'm just going to bring you guys along for the ride with me, and hopefully it doesn't turn into shit and disaster. There's only one way to find out. So I'm coming at you from down here on the floor so I don't have to keep moving my camera because that's a pain in the ass. What I've done so far is the bare bones of my project. So I've got my rock formation here. I've started doing a bit of a waterfall. I've got to make sure I move this. I've sewn together most of my feature pieces, as I'm calling them. So I've got this one. I've got this. There's this so far, and then this one. With most of these, I do think I need to crochet additional pieces, just even a little bit more detail, but I'm going to add them into the scene first before I do that, just so I can get a general idea of what I need. The step before that, though, will be to add grass to this platform, and I reckon that's going to take a while. I will check in again with all of you in, I don't know, 10 hours or so. Just gonna clip that to my sleeve. So it is very late on a Saturday night, and I've been going since 7:30 or so this morning, taking periodic breaks so I didn't end up with a bad pain flare. You can see my thing in the background over here. I've got to give a shout out to my sister. She helped me with this, with the grass, which is not yet complete, but she did a lot of work on that, so thank you. But I am going to go to bed now because I am tired and sore and I just want to go to sleep. Happy Sunday, everyone. I am picking up straight where I left off last night by finishing the grass. And if all goes well, I should have it finished by, I don't know, at least 5 o'clock tonight. But again, I don't really want it around the tree because I think it'll detract from the tree, especially because I'm going to have like the leaves off the branches.
Like you have to use all these pieces, don't you?
Yeah. Unless I can have it just
Maybe
like,
something like that.
yeah, running along the bottom there and have rocks.
Because to me that looked a bit silly.
Like there.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
It's just kind of
there.
It's too many pieces.
Well, yeah. It's 100. Well, over 100. What do you reckon? You finish it for me? Will you finish it for me? Supposed to help me finish. You were supposed to help me finish this, but you've been a bit useless. Bye. You're leaving now that I called you useless. Jasper, how come you get the seat? Can I finish this, please? Can you let me finish this, please? I want to finish this. Yes. It's done, guys. It is finally done. We made it. I am this close to sobbing in relief. I do want to show you the final result, but before I do that, we're going to see what Kylie has made because she has sent me a little preview of her project. We're ready for this? And open. That looks like oh my god. I don't know his name because I don't watch this show, but I don't want to say it in case I give too much away. Oh wow. We both did the thing. I'm not going to say what thing we did, but we both did it. Oh, that looks incredible. I want to go back and look at that again. So I know I'm not saying anything. I'm just sort of in awe at the moment. That is mind blown. So yes, you will need to head on over to Kylie's video, which I will link in the description, to see her masterpiece in all its glory. While you're there, say hello from me and maybe drop a few snail emojis in the comments. That'll make more sense once you've seen her project. But before you launch a full snail offensive in her comments, we have one last order of business to take care of here. You ready? I have gone full fantasy garden, and there's one more little feature. I'm going to take you guys on a tour of this in a sec, but before we do that, I have got to say this project has been one of the most, if not the most, frustrating, exhausting, time-consuming projects of my entire crafting life. It has drained me physically, mentally, and emotionally. Do you know how many times I came this close to channeling my inner 3-year-old and just throwing a temper tantrum? Too many. That's how many. Too many. There were times I just had to be like, Lee, drop the glue gun, and back up. Drop the glue gun. Lee, put the hook down, put the crochet hook down, just walk it off. Just walk it off. And I would 100% do it again. Not anytime soon. I need a year's break at minimum, but I would absolutely take part in this challenge again, because despite the difficulties and the frustrations, this has genuinely been such a fun and rewarding experience. And my final project, while obviously not perfect, is something that I can take real creative pride in. So let me show you it. The main features of this are really the waterfall, which is what I use the styrofoam rock formation for, as well as my willow inspired fantasy tree. But that's only surface level stuff. Underneath is a whole other world. I've sort of got a secret tunnel down here. Secret tunnel, secret tunnel. And it's got its own lights, but you can't see them very well. They're quite dull. I've got that, but I've also got some hidden treasure in here. Now, what could possibly be hoarding hidden treasure in a cave? If you answered dragons, you would be correct. So we've got big old dragon here who sits in there because she is guarding her eggs. And they just sit in there as well. And then we've got baby dragon who just likes to hang out on the top here, you know, just waiting for his siblings to hatch. Yeah, this is what took me 3 months of work overall, but really 3.5 weeks of really intensive work at the end there. And even still, it's not actually finished. There are several things I didn't get to do. I wanted to add a whole heap of greenery to the water feature along the rocks here. I wanted to fill in this section a little bit more. Same for the other side. This is pretty barren. I wanted to add some more rocks and plants here. This section was supposed to be a full, you know what? You can hop up there for now. This section was supposed to be a full garden, but I didn't get to do that either. My willow tree was supposed to have a lot more leaves, but I used the thickest gauge wire that I have and it's still pretty flimsy. These things are quite heavy, so I stopped there. On top of that, there are also just some little details I wanted to add but didn't get the chance to, like some white yarn as foam for the water splash, some little water plants, just a couple of little details here and there that I think would have added to the overall project. I just didn't have time to do that because this video is going to go out very, very soon. So I need to get on to editing and all that good stuff. To finally wrap it up, I first want to say a huge thank you to Kylie for participating with me in this behemoth of a crochet challenge. Make sure you head on over to her channel when you're done to check out her video. I will also put a link for it down in the description. Thank you guys for watching and coming along with me on this adventure. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, like the video if you liked it, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and I will see you next week with another video which should be much smaller in scale and therefore much easier to make than this one was.